Hello, hello, hello. I'm Heather Krasinski, and this is Monumental Millionaire. So I am joined here, as always, by the beautiful Laura Wright and Stephanie Nikolic. Hi, ladies. How are you?
Good, how are you?
So excited you guys are here. And our guest today, Shaneil Stewart, joining us all the way from, you just moved to Italy, correct?
Italy, yes.
So crazy. So it's nighttime for her there, and we are all like kind of over here in the Eastern time zone, just kind of getting started on our days and things like that. So why don't you introduce yourself? I'm no good at introductions, so why don't you let everybody know who you are and what it is that you do?
Okay, so I'm Shaneil Stewart.
Oh.
Oh no.
We're losing you. Oh no.
Can you see me now?
Yes, we can. There you go.
Yes. Okay. So I'm Shaneil Stewart, also known as Miss Inspire. I went by the name Miss Inspire this has been something I've been called since I was a teenager, and so I just kept the name when I became a coach. And so I'm a visibility strategist and a business coach. And what I do is I help online service-based entrepreneurs really stand out in their industry and book paying clients. So when it comes down to visibility, there's a whole lot of things around self-worth, not feeling good enough, not feeling like they're meant for big things, comparing themselves. And so I help them like ditch all that drama, kick all that stuff to the curb, get strategies in place, and push themselves forward in their industry so they can make impact and income.
I love it. I love it. So Miss Inspire, I love it. It's got a little bit of sass to it, so which is so you. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
So why don't you let us know what your topic is today? I know that you said you have 3 and you just put them in a hat and you're going to like pick one out and surprise us. So
yes. So I wanted all of us to be surprised. So I came up with 3 topics. I was like, here's my hat. Everything says Italia on it. Like swirl around. I don't know which one we're going to get, but let's see. Oh my god. Okay. All right. So this is hilarious. Okay, so the one that we're going to see, I was hoping we'd get visibility, but unfortunately, we got love and money.
Oh boy. Lots to talk about. How much time do we have?
Wow. All right. So love and money. What do you mean by that? Is it sort of like how does love and money kind of work together, or is it just anything like open forum, love, money?
And I guess to kind of like how thriving relationships sometimes.
Oh no, we're losing you again. The power of live stream. There you are. Okay.
Yes. Okay. I'm doing this from mobile, so I'm not sure. I've never done it for people before. Normally just my clients. So I'm like, I don't know if it works. Like the phone. I'm trying. So just looking at the fact that sometimes it's like you have love and then you don't have money, or you don't have love but then you have money, or sometimes you don't have either of them and you're like, well, what's going on in my life right now? And so
that's hilarious.
So I think
love it.
I think they're related. I think they impact each other. How you do one thing is how you do everything. So does our romantic relationship influence our business?
Oh, I have a lot to say about that one.
I'm like, maybe that's why I don't have one.
Well, so you don't know this, Shaneil, because we haven't met, but my tagline is "Sales is love," and I do actually think that money, loving yourself, being in a loving relationship. Again, being in a loving relationship means with yourself, loving your prospects, loving your clients, like that is a high power energy that attracts money. And I know that I used to have a disconnect. I have an amazing marriage, like best husband I could have ever dreamed of. And there was a point there where I had a thriving business with him. I've had a failed business with him. I'm now having a massive thriving, like it goes up and down, but I did have a little Powerman story that said I could have happy marriage or happy business. And we've flipped the script and we now have thriving everything. Happy kid, happy home, happy marriage, thriving. Yeah, exactly. Everything thrives together. So I think the concept of like money energy is when you nail it right with one part of your life, you can't have other parts be out of balance. They all come into alignment. That's my 2 cents.
I'm a single mom, so maybe I just haven't met the right person yet. I like to think my business is thriving. I think I'm killing it, but my love life, fucking disaster. Disaster. I mean, I don't know. And I think it's like, well, for starters, I think it's like a low tolerance for bullshit, and I don't think every relationship has to be like that. But I feel like I don't want to settle. So maybe I'm just not in this space to have that relationship. Or no, I mean, maybe that person hasn't come into my life yet, because I have this, like, I've come this far, and I've come this far in business, just doing my thing and doing it on my own and whatever. I mean, not necessarily on my own. I have a team and stuff, but like, you know, me, I'm doing this. To have somebody that kind of, I think it's just, you have to find a partner that understands the value of being powerful together. Like, it's okay for both of you to exhibit power. Like, you know, many, many years ago, like, women had a different role. And I think that was one of the complications, that I didn't have a partner that honored my role. Like, they didn't honor that I can run a business and be a mom and, you know, and be a significant other. And I think that for me caused a lot more energetic bullshit than I was willing to deal with. And I'm like, but I'm doing so good over here. I'm not going to let this kind of affect the rest of my, you know, I'm like, I gotta stay in the zone, right? So that's me personally. I believe in love. I believe in, like, having it all. I've had it before. I know that I can have it again. I'm just, like, I guess at the stage where I'm just not willing to deal with the bullshit.
I also think, like, when you, like, we put major focus on different parts of our lives, and it's really easy to, like, put your head down and go, like, business, business, business. But you hit the nail on the head, Stephanie. Like, my hubby does these things where he'll say, whatever you need to do, go do it. Like, if I am like, you have to go get the kid, I'm going to be working tonight, or if I have to do something, he is totally cool going with me where I need to go. And I think that's what it is. Like, that's what your ideal clients are. Your ideal clients meet you where you are, and they go where you go. Your ideal, like, love match goes where you go.
Really important, because I am speaking from experience. If you have someone that's like, why are you on your laptop? Why are you answering emails right now? And you're like, well, first of all, I love what I do. Like, I love what I do. Like, I'm wildly obsessed with it. It's funny. Laura exchanged an email with me about, I'm packing, I'm moving. I sold my house in 4 days. Which is, like, really cool. But then it's like, oh my God, did this just happen? So I am packing, and, like, I my whole entire family doesn't really understand the nature of what I do. And so, like, my mother was literally guilting me into packing. Like, she was like, she couldn't validate me paying someone to pack up my house. Like, which is like, I hate packing. Like,
right.
It's not a good use of my time. And I actually love my business. Like, I love it. So why would I pack and do something I hate over something that I love? So Laura was like, I think you should outsource packing. I'm like, yeah, that's so funny you said that, because yesterday I showed up at my mother's house, because she literally checks in with me. She's like, how's packing? I'm like, packing is not going, okay? I'm like, I am hiring someone to pack for me, because I realized, why the hell am I allowing you to talk me into packing? So you kind of deal with being in a relationship. It's like, you don't, if somebody is kind of, like, bringing you out of that place and, like, not allowing you to truly be you, like, maybe it's not a good fit, you know? And just accepting that and not feeling like, oh, I'm this flawed human because I do want to, you know, stay up an hour extra and work on my emails. Like, I am so driven by what I'm doing. And anybody that has that, like, that passion, that fire in your belly, like, you understand that. So I guess what I would say, what I think exists for me, is that you find a partner that can be that power player for you, that you can both appreciate how others show up in life and business. And it doesn't mean that they have to be a business owner. It doesn't mean that, you know, they can stay home and support the kids. I have no, in my mind, like, real concept of, like, this family dynamic, right? I think that everybody makes it up as they go, and they do what works for them. But with that being said, I think it's really important to honor what works for you. And for me, like, I'm not going to be with somebody that doesn't appreciate the power, right? That doesn't like, that tries to take away. So I'm still in the mess. I'm open. So if anybody here is live today,
matchmaker
in my end,
she's accepting applications.
Yeah, that's
Go
so
to the
funny.
website, fill it in.
yeah, fill out an application on the website. I'll catch up with you in like a week or so.
I love
And
that.
I think
Love
too,
that.
like when you guys talk about this topic of, you know, like having somebody who's a power player to meet you at the place where you're at, it's so accurate. Because I remember a time when I was, hold on, can you guys see me?
You're
We can hear
freezing
you,
again.
Rosa. We can hear you. Oh,
I was saying,
There we go.
you're
yes,
coming.
I was saying that when there's a time in my business, like when I just started, I was kind of married to my business. So me and my partner, you know, we lived together at the time, and I was like married to my business. So I was always working on my business in the middle of the night, me with the laptop, like, you know, sleepless nights, me on the laptop. And so at the time, he wasn't at a place in his career where he was pushing that hard or like grinding that much. And so it was like, look at her, always on her laptop, like not giving me any love, you know. And what happened, what had to change for us was that he had to find something that was his version of that. And the moment he found his version of that, of course, we turn off the computers at around 7 p.m. because we're done. We need to spend time, you know, human interaction. But we moved from that thing of, oh, we're having arguments because we're not spending enough time, to the place where we're like, okay, you got your laptop, you're doing your stuff, I've got my laptop, I'm doing my stuff, we're working on our stuff together, and so we're growing and together. So it's like, there's no need to, she's neglecting me or he's neglecting me, because we know that, you know, we're building together. But for me, it was so hard in the beginning to make time for a relationship, even though we lived together. It was like, all right, I need to work on my business.
Yeah.
Because for me, when I became a coach, I was also doing my master's, a double master's at the same time. So I was like, writing this thesis, I have to do this business. Like, babe, I love you, but you gotta wait, right? So if I had continued, or if he didn't find his passion thing, then I probably would be single right now, like Stephanie. I'll be like, you know. But so Steph, I think, you know, that guy is out there for you. And if I see anyone who, you know, is that, you know, game player, he's like up there in the ranks and can deal with a powerful woman, send him your way, girl.
Oh, yeah.
That's so funny. Well, you know, I think I have a similar story where, and this was actually when I was in the corporate world. And when I was in the corporate world, I was expected to have my BlackBerry on me 24/7. And they actually would say, you know, we pay you so much money, we expect a reply within like 15, 20 minutes. And so, yeah. And so it was like a constant, like, at dinner with my husband, checking my phone, like every 5 minutes, checking my phone, with friends, checking my phone, all of those things. And so, you know, that was a big reason, obviously, why I left and why I decided that, you know, I can't work for somebody else. I don't want somebody dictating my time, because my time with my husband is really special and things like that. And, you know, I think that everybody goes through this period in the beginning of starting a business when your spouse is not also in business, when they're not also an entrepreneur and they don't quite understand. You know, my husband has a 9 to 5, so he clocks in, clocks out, and he's done for the day. He leaves that at work, and, you know, we don't necessarily do that. And, you know, we have the luxury, though, as well, that, you know, when we have things that need to be done at home, or like, you know, the dog needs to go to the vet, or, you know, whatever else needs to happen, I can do that. But then it's like, well, honey, then I'm going to be working later because, you know, I didn't start working until noon today because I had to deal with all of this stuff. So I'm going to work until 8 o'clock tonight or whatever it is. Right. And I think that the biggest thing in relationships, just as it is with your teams, like, and anything else in your life, is just communication. To have that communication and to set the expectations and to be a leader in your relationship and in your life. So to really take that charge role of your life. And, you know, I'm a really big cheerleader for forming agreements when it comes to taking a leadership role in anything. And so when you're starting a business, really you're taking that leadership role of your own life, you're creating your own destiny. And you need to create these powerful agreements with the other people in your life to say, well, this is how it's going to be. How do you feel about that? And to really meet them halfway as well, not just to have them meet you where you are, but also to meet them halfway and where they are, to say, you know, I'm making this big shift, I'm making this big change. How do you feel about that? And you know, and to really negotiate that. And so my husband knows that, you know, I work on weekends sometimes. I work on a Saturday because he runs errands and goes to the gym, and he's not home all day on Saturday. And so I love sleeping in. Sleeping in is like my favorite thing to do. So on Saturdays, he like gets up, he leaves at like 8 in the morning, and I'm like, I'm gonna sleep. Yeah, I don't have a kid. So I get to do this.
What is that?
Who's allowed to sleep through the night?
I know, it's funny because
That's why I look like this. Top fun, yeah.
my friends will actually text me in the morning and be like, hey, you want to do something today? And I'll text them back at like 10:30. I'm like, yeah, I was sleeping. And they're like, yeah, I've been up since 7 with my kid. I'm like, so yeah, totally. I was sleeping and it was glorious. I'm not gonna lie. But it really does come back into that, you know, taking charge of your own life and things like that. And so I have an agreement with my husband that I stop at 6 o'clock or 6:30 every day, and we have dinner together. And sometimes he starts dinner, like if most days I'm done by like 5:30, 6 o'clock, and I'll start making dinner and things like that. But there are times when I'm just like, I really have to get this done. And so he'll come and walk through the door around 5:30, 6 o'clock. And if he sees I'm still working, he might start making dinner. And it's just sort of that agreement that we have that it's like, all right, whoever's done working first, start making dinner. We will have a hard stop. We will have dinner together. And that keeps the relationship really good and really fruitful. It also helps you to unwind and really detach yourself from your business because, you know, as much as I am my business isn't me, right? Like there's so much more to me. And so it's really important. Yeah. It's really important that we have a life, and I'm the type of person who will work and work and work and work and work and never take a life, right? I'll just not go out and not do things and not talk to my husband for weeks at a time, and you know, so you have to find that balance, and you have to know yourself well enough to understand the type of personality that you are.
So Heather, how did you get to that point? Like, did you guys have to have like a coming apart before you came together with that agreement, or was it like just a natural, like easy, you know, agreement to get there? Or did you have to have like that moment where there's a, you know, the storming before the norming kind of thing, where it's like, pull my hair like that?
You know, what's really funny is so redheads have the whole like stereotype of we have big tempers and things like that, right? And my husband's a redhead. He's you know, my hair over time has gotten less red naturally. I'm more of a blonde now, but but he's a redhead. And the funny thing is like this is Kyle at all times. Kyle experiences no highs nor lows. We never fight. As hard as I try sometimes I just want to, but I cannot think of a single time where we ever had a fight. And I mean, like, I can go off like girl crazy on him, and he's just like, okay, so you're having one of those moods. I'm just gonna go in the other room, let you chill out, and I'm gonna come back to it. And so we never really had that, like, you know, come to Jesus moment, like really big storm or anything like that. That's not really us, and it's not really the dynamic in our relationship. But I know every relationship is different, and you know, that doesn't make our relationship any better than somebody else's, right? But we are very strong in our communication. And so, you know, I think it just sort of happened in that I knew from my corporate days how much he hated me working late at night. And I did that still. When I was creating my first business, which was in interior design, you know, I would work all day hustling to get clients. And then at night, I would still have to do the actual design work. And I'd be sitting there on my laptop, you know, but he's sitting right beside me. And you know, he would say to me, you know, I miss you. And I'm like, I'm sitting right beside you, right? And he's like, but I miss you. You're working. You're not actually talking to me, right? So I think it was just that. It was just that made me realize I really need to make sure that I'm balancing and making him feel loved just as much as I feel loved, right? And we experience love in different ways. right? So for me, I think your dog's hearing my dog, and my dog bust into my office. But you know, we experience love in different ways, and we all have different love languages and things like that. And so we really have to understand the way that we express things and the way that our partner expresses things, and that those things are different. So I know that when Kyle tries to solve problems, or when Kyle, like, you know, tries to fix things around the house, or when Kyle starts to make me dinner, though doing things is his love language, like that's how he expresses love, you know. And the way that he likes to feel love is to be touched. He really likes being touched, or he really likes, you know, being told. I like it when people do shit for me. Like, I like when people do things for me.
A good relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm like, you know, take me out for dinner, you know. So we have standing date night. Every single Wednesday is standing date night. And that's agreement we came to because we were at the point in time where, you know, so I have a girls' night, he has a guy's night, and we have a date night. And that was super important for our relationship. It keeps us independent. We're not like one person, right? It keeps our lives independent, but it also makes sure that we have, no matter what, Wednesday night, we go out for dinner. And sometimes it'll move, you know, this week it moved to a Friday night or something like that. But most weeks it's Wednesday night, and it's always, always, always. It doesn't matter what, you know, about money. It doesn't matter about, like, if something better comes up, like if something other offer comes up, no, it's Wednesday night, it's date night, it's off the table. So.
And actually, you're saying something I think is really important, because I think I right now have a couple clients who are struggling with their partners not being supportive of their business.
Yeah.
And it's actually something that comes, I think, my way a lot because I have a partner who is so supportive. So you usually attract, you know, people who want what you want.
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest things is you have to remember that as you grow, sometimes what happens is other people can't grow with you.
Yeah.
Sometimes they can. It's always their own choice, but also when your light shines really bright, it's actually shining on somebody else not having what they desire. And so I learned that there's ways to help your partner get on board with what you're doing when they can see how it supports them and you together versus how it separates. Because a lot of times I also run into women who are doing really well, but they can't quite get to that next level in their business. And a lot of it has to do with if they do go to that new growth, especially with money, it makes them more separate from their partners.
Yeah.
And that separation is something that nobody wants. So you sabotage your sales, you sabotage your things, you don't realize you're doing it because what you're trying to do is to stay the same as the person. Yeah. So my 2 cents is to always find out what helps your partner get on board with what you're doing. One of the things that my husband and I talked about was he was a chef, worked like 14-hour days at crazy hours, and he was like getting sick and exhausted. He did that for 4 years. And our commitment was then I would retire him. And so now he's retired, he's at home, he's a stay-at-home dad, and it's freaking awesome for both of us. But we talked about it. He's always been in support of me, but he got even more on board once it was like, how does this not just benefit you or us as a big picture, but like some real specifics. So I would say if you find yourself in a relationship where your partner is not super supportive, find out what the thing is that they want. One of my clients, her husband really loves skiing, and she's like, I'm gonna go do these things, and we're gonna buy a ski chalet, like a house where we can go every weekend. And also he's like, you can do your business to do that for us? Oh sure, honey, go do those extra
Yeah.
So find out what it is that's what, you know, you were just saying, Heather, is find out what motivates your partner that helps them help you grow. And remember that you aren't going separately. Because I think we've all said it in ways that we love our businesses. Like, we're in a relationship with our business.
Yeah.
It's
like a love triangle. Yeah.
Yeah. We're in a relationship with our husbands or wives or spouses and partners and our kids and our everybody. But it's another love relationship to have a business.
Yeah.
But what if it's this situation where, like, I don't know if that existed here. Like, do you feel like there's sometimes that you are growing?
Oh yeah.
In a different direction, and that person is just so set that this entrepreneur life, this online world, like they're not going to accept it. It doesn't matter what you do. I've offered to help, but I just got to the point where it was like, okay, I don't think this is a good fit.
Yeah.
I mean, and our what we did was a little bit backwards than traditional. You know, we had a baby, so you know, Shaneil, we had a baby, and then we got to know each other. So a little bit of a different situation. God had a different plan for us, clearly. But I think for me, I've had like really cool partnership, really cool relationships. And I think that there's a difference between, because I've been like, listen, I can retire you. Mm-hmm. Like, I can get you out of real estate for 18 or 19 years. I can do this. But he's just like, whatever. And I think his mentality is like, no, the man needs to be the man. Yeah. And it has to be a certain way. And then it's really hard because you're like, I'm doing everything I can to help. But you know what? Fuck it. I'm not going to because you don't appreciate it anyway. So
it's like when to cut the ties and when to know they're not going to grow with you. I think the thing is, this goes for anyone in your life. Those who drag you down don't have a place in your life. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to get divorced or cut people out. You can also decide who knows things. Like, none of my neighbors know what I do. We all stand outside and they're all like grumbling about, like, kids play on Sundays and then they're grumbling about going to work. And I'm like, okay, I did a sales call earlier today and made a bunch of money and like I'm gonna go do, like, it's a different life. So I actually don't talk with them very much about what I do. I don't interact, but I think the thing is also understand that this is a journey where things may change. Like, get to an okay place is maybe not the right way to say it, but like, know when it's time to not let your dream get crushed by a person who can't go with you.
Yeah.
Because actually had 2 clients get divorced after working together.
Yeah.
And I was like, please don't tell them it had anything to do with me. Like, you know, because they didn't even tell me. Just out of the blue, we did like a lot of up leveling, a lot of work. And then they came to me, they're like, I got something to tell you. And I'm like, what's up? They're like, I'm getting divorced. I'm like, what? You know? And I'm like, oh God, please don't tell me about me.
It's so funny that you're talking about like splitting up, because even in terms of that, right? One of the topics I had was like when to fire a client, which is so funny because that's how, if a client is not a fit and you get on that call with them and they're not a fit, you're like, bye Felicia, you know, like, I mean, it's the same in a romantic relationship. If he's not a fit,
oh, we lost
if
you.
he's not a fit. I was saying, if he's not a fit, he's just not a fit, right?
Yeah.
It's like if you're doing those little puzzle pieces, if a piece just doesn't fit, just doesn't fit.
Yeah.
Right? You have kids, so like
I'm a fan.
Legos.
I'm a fan of this. Like, I don't know if this is even the right mentality, but this has worked for me. It's like the quit quickly.
Yes.
Like, if you try and you know, like, you're trying, you've put some effort in, and it just keeps coming back, or it's just not working. It's like, why are you doing this? It could be friendships, it could be relationships, it could be clients, it could be employees, people that you hire on your team. I mean, growth as entrepreneurs, I mean, hopefully you're growing, because I believe if you're not growing, you're dying, right? We're always in the stage of growth, and growth is always uncomfortable. And as you're kind of in this process of up leveling, for whatever reason, I think we probably talked about this a little bit before another show, is that like it brings up like some crazy stuff. I don't know why, but it really brings up and kicks up a lot of dirt. And it literally, everything's going, everything's good, you're pumped up, all of a sudden your girlfriend of 22 years calls you and says, I don't really like you anymore. And you're like, what? We haven't even talked in a month. I think you're disrespectful of my husband. Like, what? You know, it's like, and it had everything to do with her and nothing really to do with me, but she saw me online, she saw my success, she felt insignificant to my growth, which was never a conversation I would have had, because I'm a normal person just like anybody else. And money, any level of money does not define you. Any level of success does not define you. But really interesting things start to happen. And I think you got to be pretty clear and pretty okay with who you are. And that takes a lot of work, I think, behind the scenes before you can even get to this level. Because if somebody had come to me 2 or 3 years ago and had the same conversation, it would have bothered me for weeks, for months. I would have kept replaying it in my head. What did I do? What could I have done differently? Maybe I'm not deserving of this. But now I'm like, no, this is something inner that's happening in her life. And let me give her the space that she needs to clear that up. And I got to keep going, right? And I don't say that to be like mean or ugly, but like, you got to keep going, right?
Listen, that's something that I learned early out the gate. I just remember I was like so excited I'm going to be a coach because I'm traditionally like a social worker. So just think about like social worker mentality moving into coach, like I'm going to charge a lot. And then I become a coach, and my friend straight up tells me, I looked on your website and I think you're charging too much. You know who didn't speak to her about my business ever? Like ever. She liked my Facebook page, and I went in there and I made her unlike it. Like, I don't even want that kind of energy around me. Like, we can talk about social work, we can talk about your kids, we can talk about the weather, we can talk about whatever, but I'm not talking to you about my business. All right.
Yeah.
Call me mean, whatever. I don't care. Like, no.
Yeah. Well, and I think when it comes to like kind of back to the, love and spouse and things like that, it really comes down to ensuring that they're secure as you grow as well. So even if they're not growing at the same rate as you, and I think that with our clients, we see that a lot, right? All of a sudden you start into this exponential growth and maybe your partner's not keeping up, or maybe they don't want to. I mean, at the end of the day, right? My husband loves the stability of a 9-to-5 job. He would hate being an entrepreneur. He would absolutely hate it because he is somebody who hates change. And I mean, gosh, we all love change, don't we? When we're entrepreneurs, like we just thrive off of it. And he hates it. And so, and I'm the type of person, I would move every year if I could, because I love moving. I love redoing a new house, right? Like, and that's what I did before I met him. And, and then all of a sudden we stayed in the same house for 3 years, and it was the weirdest thing. And I was like, I have to move. And I was bugging him so much. He's like, I just want to live here forever. And I was like, no, not acceptable. So we did move, and now we're looking to move again, right? But it's one of those things where you have to consistently, I win, yeah. You have to consistently make sure that your partner feels secure. And so, Stephanie, you talked about that mirror, and Laura, you mentioned that too, right? That really people's insecurities are when they say things like, oh, I don't like who you've become. Like, they're just seeing something in you that they don't like about themselves, and it's bringing those things up for them. And so you really are holding up a mirror to their insecurities. And it's really important to realize that in the relationships that are really important to you, to say, listen, like, I really appreciate the money that you bring home, and I really appreciate this, and I really appreciate that, because at the end of the day, if your spouse is making less money than you, that can be an ego blow to them, and they might feel like they need to catch up, or they might feel like they need to contribute more, or that you're bearing the brunt, and they might feel guilty for that. And you have to ensure you have those conversations, and it all comes back to that communication, right? And so, Laura, you had mentioned, about the skiing and the ski house and things like that. I think it's really important for you and your partner to sit down and to say, well, what are our life goals? Not just like, what are our goals for the year, right? Something that we tend to do is we tend to make resolutions, and we tend to say, here are my goals for the next, 3 months, for the next year. But it's not very often that we sit down with our partners. We might do this for ourselves when we're journaling or whatever else, but it's not very often that we sit down with our partners to say, well, what do we want our life to look like? And I think this is a big reason why a lot of marriages fail, is because we tend to not talk about the big issues, right? So me and my husband, we don't want kids. And had we gotten married not having that discussion, and then all of a sudden somebody was like, well, I don't know, like, I don't really feel like I want kids now, and then that changes. I've seen it happen so many times. And then, of course, your marriage is going to fall apart, because that's a really big issue. And so that comes down to the way that you work as well. And when we got married, I was in corporate, but I was very much so always a super independent person. My job required a lot of travel. I worked a lot. Like, I was still that workaholic personality, and he had to be okay with that. And I was still really independent in the way that I worked. I took a lot of jobs that had more commission basis than salary basis, right? because I've always liked to be able to control how much money I can make and not have somebody dictate that for me. And so those are the discussions that you have to have. And so now if you're already in a relationship and you're making a switch and, you know, all of a sudden the terms have changed, there has to be a sit down discussion again because the terms are changing. You can't just expect them to come along on the ride with you because that wasn't the original agreement that you had, right? Like you have to sit down and form a new agreement. This is what things look like. Let's map out our lives together. You know, for us, that one really big thing for us is actually a condo in Veer Towers on the Las Vegas Strip, and those things go for like $1 million. And we're Canadian, we can't get a mortgage on it. We have to pay in cash, right? So it's sort of like you got a savings account, and it's like, all right, this account can only go up. It cannot go down. If there's an emergency, it doesn't come out of this account. It can only go up, right? But you have to have these things in place and to really help them see the success too, right? So I have a client who was putting all of her money back into her business. And so she was working all these extra hours. She made more in a month than she did all of last year, but she recycled it all back into her business, getting some systems in place, right? Paying for coaching, investing in some programs that she needed. She wasn't very tech savvy. She hired a team to do things for her, and she started paying them. And her husband was really, really upset because he was like, I'm not seeing the returns financially, right? And so I think you should get a job. But so the thing is that you have that communication. But that's the
but
thing.
He probably didn't know that this was her plan.
Exactly.
Exactly. Those unspoken agreements, those are the things that damage stuff. Exactly. It's when you don't talk about it.
It has to be a communication. And so I said to her, are you tracking your money? And, you know, I gave her a money tracker. It was just a spreadsheet. We talked, I think, a couple weeks ago about tracking your money daily. And, you know, I gave that to her and he said, well, why don't you show this to him? Because then he can see, you know, show him your taxes for last year. Show him, you know, in just a couple months, you made more in a month than you did all of last year. Like show him that progress, and that really should help him to settle in and to feel a little bit more secure, because he's probably feeling like, oh shit, I need to step up my game and support this family even more so than I am. And I kind of like my life right now and I don't really want to have to work more, right? So there are those things that will come up in them, and that's that mirror that gets held up.
Yeah, so I love what you're saying too, because this actually relates back to how people get clients when they're saying, well, I want to, but I have to talk to my husband first.
Yeah.
So, because that's a really big one, isn't it? So one of the things, my husband and I have a commitment of, and he's even said this to me, he's like, I don't know what you should invest in. It's your business. I don't actually even understand all the pieces, but I trust you. Part of the way he trusts me is we have a very clearly mapped out spoken agreement, because part of what he does is he actually pays all of our bills. So every month at an exact point in that month, I give him a big check, and then he goes and sends the money where it needs to go. He never has to worry. That money will always be there for him. And but like what I do with the rest, I do with the rest. Yeah. And that commitment and us doing that allows for so much more ease. So one of the things I always like to tell people is, if you've had an experience where you and your husband do not have trust around money, create a way to recreate that trust. Yeah. And it can be very simple, where you just say, I'm going to do X, Y, Z, and this is the money, and you do it and make it small. It's kind of like rebuilding your credit or getting credit. You get a little bit, you use it. Do the same thing with your partner if for any reason in the past you haven't had that. Luckily for us in the past, I say I'm going to do something and I do it. So he's like, sure, go spend the money because you're going to do something with it. But if you don't have that, create a small scenario where that works, and then create more and more and more.
Yeah, I think most people though would probably get pretty freaked out about the investments that we make in our businesses, right?
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Like, because the entrepreneur mentality is like, well, you invest. Like, hello, you get to a point, you need some help, you invest. It's not even sometimes about I have the money right now or I don't have the money. You're like, oh, I'll create the money, no big deal. I just invest. Like, hello, need to add a new person on my team, hire them. It's like, and I think for me, I mean, if anybody took a look that wasn't an entrepreneur, probably like my family, they'd be like, what? You know, like, holy crap, because in their mind, it's actually spending money. But in our reality, it's actually like fueling the vision. So the reason why I've gotten here so quickly is because a large percent of my income is invested right back into my business. A very large percent. And I'm okay with kind of living simply for the first several years because I see the future and I'm like, I can go buy that home in cash. Or build that home or whatever I decide to do. I can do that in just a couple more years by doing what I'm doing now because I'm investing in the right places.
And it's even funnier when those family members are in a country where the currency is different. So for example, I'm originally from Jamaica, right? So when I go on a hire a coach and invest like $25,000 in my business, in Jamaica, that's like $2 million. And my father is like, what? Like, that's how much money, you know, he would make in a year probably. He's like, the currency is different. So it's like, oh my God, right? So if people really knew how much we invested, it would be, But we know, right? It's like planting a seed. You plant that seed, but you know that when that tree grows, you're gonna have tons more apples, mangoes, cherries, whatever the fruit is. You're gonna have way more than that one tiny seed. So makes sense.
Yeah. Then you can feed your whole family, and they're not gonna have a problem with it. Then I'll tell you.
I will say, people get on board also when they can see things.
Yeah.
Like if your husband's having any trouble with what you're doing or your spouse, show them, like not just the practical, like on pieces of paper, but like go out and make the big money and maybe your investment is actually in you. So like you guys have your standing date on, you know, for date night. We go up to New York all the time thing. Like, so like every other month, I'm just like, go grab an Airbnb. Let's all go together. So he sees the benefit of my business as much as I do. Like I get to go get a coach or hire a team member and I see the benefit of it. You know, we all see it because we live in our house, we eat our great food, but like he gets to experience it. We experience it as a family. And that's, I think, a very, very important factor.
Yeah. I think also helping them experience like your happiness. You know, my husband has said to me like, you know, we've definitely had times the entrepreneurship journey is up and down and up and down. I've been like, oh my gosh, I should have quit, should have get a job. And he's like, no, you can't go back to that because you were miserable. And I'm like, no, you're right. I can't go back to that. I'm so much happier doing this. And, you know, at the end of the day, you have to really show them that benefit as well, that you are a much happier person, you're a much more fulfilled person, you are somebody who feels really good each and every day, and they're going to feel that as well. So, you know, even just going back to that trust factor, him and I, we have completely separate accounts, and the mortgage comes out of mine, the food comes out, we actually spend more on food than we do on our mortgage, but so, and I told him he eats most of the food, so he should eat the food, right? So, you know, you eat it all, you pay for it, right? So, I mean, we have separate bills that come out of each of our accounts, and it's always been this way for as long as we've lived together. It was, you know, I pay this, you pay that, you know, he pays for his car, I pay for my car, right? You know, and we've kind of split the household expenses down the middle or whatever else. And as long as those bills are getting paid each and every month, there is that trust factor there. And so anything else that kind of comes in is just sort of like, you know, well, who cares? The family's being taken care of. You know, my responsibility to you and to this family is being taken care of. And so anything else that I do, he just doesn't have to worry about that. Right? I mean, that really comes in.
They got for the day, right?
What's that?
Well, I will say this. My husband says that, I think sometimes jokingly, but it's really true. He always says, he's like, I made the best investment of my life investing in you. And so, I know, it's ridiculous. It's wonderful. But it's true though. But like,
it does exist. I'm holding out for that.
It totally does. Like, he put his stuff on hold. He worked a shit job but made a lot of money, and he helped us buy this house, and now we have it, and I can grow it and maintain it and make it even better. But like, find the person who believes in you the way you believe in your clients. You know, like we put our love into our businesses and we're so into it. Like find the love that will do that for you.
Yeah, find your cheerleader. Yeah, find your cheerleader. You're so right. Yeah.
I feel like I have that with my daughter though. I feel like every time like I look at her and I don't know, it's like it gets like crazier every day. I'm not like this super like mushy, like, oh my God, but like I look at this kid and I'm like, oh my God, you're it. Like you are why I am creating this. Like you give me purpose, you give me perspective of like more than you don't even know what you've done for my life in this small amount of time. And it's just like, it's just really, really cool experience that you get to have. This is my other kid.
It was funny because as you're saying it, you're like my kid, and up comes the dog.
And I'm gonna have to sign off, but you guys, great to meet you. And
no, that's all right. We should probably wrap up anyways because we have the tendency of going long, of course. So, Shaneil, where can people find you if they don't know about you and they want to learn more about you?
Okay, so if people want to find me, they can check out my Facebook group. It's called the Irresistible in Your Industry Facebook group. And that's where we work with the rock star coaches on the rise who are ready to ditch all the things holding them back from being visible, step out, stand out, really shine, and be magnets to their ideal clients. So yeah, that's where you can find us. It's the Irresistible in Your Industry Facebook group. Otherwise, you can go to www.irresistibleinyourindustry.com.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Awesome topic. I love that you picked it from a hat. That was so super fun.
Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So if you would like to learn anything else about the rest of our panel, about myself, about Stephanie, about Laura, you can hop on over to monumentalmillionaire.com. And all of our links and all of our descriptions are right there. So we will see you next week at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we will see you soon. Bye.
Bye.
See if I can do this without kicking everyone out again. Yay, I did it. Every week it's just like hard stop, kick everyone out. Yeah.